The forest didn't feel wrong at first. It was late August, the kind of Friday where the sun hung low and golden for hours, making everything seem softer, quieter. The five of them, Jamie, Aaron, Marcus, Tasha, and Rob, had been planning the trip for weeks. One last getaway before they split up for college. A farewell to normal life, and a chance to unplug. The drive took them hours, winding deep into the Adirondacks. They parked where the trail thinned and hiked the last 2 miles, backpacks loaded with tents, food, and enough beer to keep spirits high. Laughter carried between trees. Rob had his Bluetooth speaker hanging from his bag, blasting an old horror movie soundtrack for irony's sake. Echo Lake wasn't on any official campground list anymore. That's what made it perfect. Jamie had found it in a thread buried in an old hiking forum. Secluded, eerie, untouched by tourists. The kind of place where you could hear your own heartbeat if the wind stopped. He hadn't mentioned the warning post beneath it, the one that said the trail beyond the lake should never be taken after dark. He figured it was just part of the mystery. Probably written by some guy who watched too many Blair Witch knockoffs. They reached the lake just before sunset. The water was black glass, mirroring the sky. Pines crowded the shore, and old stones circled a flattened patch of dirt, someone's forgotten fire pit. "This is it?" Tasha asked, eyeing the tree-line. "Kind of, spooky." "Perfect," Rob said, cracking open a can. "We're here to get scared, aren't we?" That night, the fire crackled bright. They drank. They told ghost stories. Aaron laughed so hard she cried. But when the laughter died, and the embers dimmed, the forest felt too quiet. Somewhere in the trees, something moved. Just for a moment. Slow and deliberate. Jamie sat up, flashlight already in hand. "Did you guys hear that?" Silence. Then, a low crunch. Jamie swept the flashlight beam toward the trees, catching only glints of wet bark and twisting shadows. Everyone froze. The sound, a crunch like something stepping on dry pine needles, echoed once more. Erin shifted in her sleeping bag. Probably a deer. Right? Or a raccoon. Rob nodded quickly, but his eyes didn't leave the dark. Yeah. Just a forest thing. There's a lot of forest out there. Jamie didn't sit back down. Some part of him, the part that had spent years hiking solo, didn't believe it was just an animal. That sound, it wasn't frantic or curious. It was slow. Heavy. Like it was listening back. The flashlight flickered, just once, then steadied. Jamie clicked it off. "We shouldn't give away our position with light," he muttered. "Just in case it's a predator." Marcus scoffed. "Dude, what are we, soldiers now?" But his voice was low. For 10 long minutes, they sat in silence. Watching. Listening. A branch snapped further into the woods. Something grunted. Not high-pitched. Not animal-like. Something deeper. Then it was gone. By morning, the unease had dissolved into jokes. Tasha teased Jamie for being paranoid forest dad. Erin swore she dreamed a bear climbed into her tent. Rob passed out next to the fire pit with a bag of marshmallows under his head. They boiled water for instant coffee, and Jamie took stock of the area. The forest looked unchanged. But in the daylight, he noticed the undergrowth was oddly flattened in patches. Like something big had moved through. He kept that to himself. Later, they swam in the lake. Tasha and Rob did a cannonball contest off a half-sunken log. Laughter filled the air again. But Jamie felt watched. Always. That night, Rob suggested a hike after dark. "Just around the lake," he said. "Flashlights on, no splitting up. Come on, it's not scary unless we make it scary." They reluctantly agreed. The forest at night was a different place. They followed the narrow trail that wrapped around Echo Lake's edge, flashlights sweeping the dense underbrush. Trees crowded together in tall, unnatural rows. The deeper they went, the more everything smelled like damp rot. Aaron stopped. "Do you hear that?" Everyone paused. No wind. No insects. And then, a distant scraping. It sounded like something with claws dragging across bark. They turned around. Just a short distance behind them, a tree was scarred by 4 deep gashes, fresh and still weeping sap. Jamie stepped closer. The claw marks were spaced too far apart for a bear. Too deliberate. Too clean. "Let's go back," he said. "Now." But as they turned, the trail wasn't there anymore. The trees had shifted. Or they'd strayed. Either way, the path was gone. Panic rose fast. Flashlights swung wildly, cutting through dense thickets. Everything looked the same. Then, in a break between trees, Aaron saw something move. A flash of gray flesh. Long limbs. Hollow, jointed like a spider's but thicker. It moved on all 4s. Faster than any animal should. "Nope, nope, nope," she shrieked. They ran. Branches clawed at their faces. Roots snagged ankles. Behind them, something moved, fast, low to the ground, keeping pace. Rob tripped, face planting in the dirt. Jamie turned, grabbing him. "Come on." They stumbled into a small clearing. Whatever it was had stopped. Aaron panted hard, eyes wide. "That thing, what was it? Did you see its face?" No one had. Just that terrible shape. The skittering. The sound of teeth clicking together. They found their way back to camp hours later, guided by the lake's reflection in the moonlight. Their fire had gone out. The tent stood untouched. But the air felt wrong. Jamie didn't sleep. Neither did Rob. Just before dawn, they heard it again. A clicking. Wet, rhythmic. It circled the camp. Slowly. Never coming into view. At sunrise, they found a gift. Hung from a tree branch at the edge of camp. Marcus's jacket. Torn. Blood on the collar. No Marcus. They searched for hours. His backpack was found near the trail. A smear of blood led into the underbrush, then vanished. There were no footprints. Only deep gouges in the dirt. And a single, long hair, gray and coarse. Jamie wanted to leave. Hike out, call for help. But the trail seemed to loop. No matter which direction they walked, they always came back to the lake. The trees were different now, denser. Thicker. Watching. That night, Jamie confessed. "I read something. Before we came. About Echo Lake." Aaron glared. "Now you tell us." "There were stories," he said. "Old ones. Not online, books. About an old Iroquois legend. A guardian, or maybe a predator, that lived below the lake. It came up when people stepped where they shouldn't. Like hiking past the ridge, Rob muttered. Or camping too close." Tasha sat still, pale. "You think that thing is, what? Some spirit?" "No," Jamie said. "Worse. It's something that was never meant to be remembered." Then the ground beneath them rumbled. Tasha screamed. A hand, or something like it, burst from the dirt near the fire and grabbed her ankle. It was gray, with bone-like claws and muscle like thick ropes beneath skin. Jamie lunged forward, grabbing her wrist. Aaron and Rob pulled too, shouting. For a moment, it seemed like they could save her. Then there was a second thing. Behind her. Towering. Faceless, except for rows of human-like teeth set in a wide slit across its chest. It screeched. The sound cracked through their skulls. Tasha was yanked downward, screaming until her voice cut off. All that remained was her boot. They ran. Backpacks forgotten. Flashlights left behind. Into the woods, blind and desperate. They didn't stop until they collapsed on a rocky outcropping far from the lake. Cold air wrapped around them. Somewhere nearby, water trickled. A stream, maybe. Rob sobbed. We have to get out. I don't care how. We can't stay. Jamie crouched, gripping his knees. It doesn't want us to leave. The forest, it's changing. Then we change it back, Aaron said, voice shaking. We fight. Jamie looked up. Fight what? Something older than human memory. Something that can move the earth. I don't know, she said. But we either fight, or we end up like Tasha. The three of them made a plan. Jamie still had a knife. Rob had a flare gun, meant for emergency signaling, now their best weapon. Aaron scoured their packs for anything sharp, heavy, flammable. They returned to the camp by morning. Everything was untouched. Eerily so. Jamie dug a pit near the fire, filling it with sharpened stakes made from branches. Aaron lured the creature, if it was watching, with a loop of recorded screams from her phone. They waited. And just after dark, they heard it coming. Skittering. Clicking. Then, silence. They didn't see it. Until the earth moved. It didn't fall in the pit. It went around. It was learning. The stench came first. A sour, cloying rot that clung to the inside of their noses and coated their tongues. Like something dead, but older. Wet fur and burnt hair, mingled with copper. Jamie crouched beside the collapsed pit trap. It didn't fall. It knew. Then it's watching, Aaron whispered. It's learning from us. Rob scanned the tree line with the flare gun trembling in his hand. We need to move. Make for high ground. The three of them packed what little remained and retreated toward the rocky ridge they'd seen earlier. With each step, they passed more signs. Trees with missing bark, sap boiling from gouges. Bones. Animal at first, small, brittle. But one femur, half buried in moss, was too big. Too human. At the base of the ridge, Erin knelt by a tree and ran her fingers over deep scratches in the bark. They're symbols, she said. Old ones. I saw these in a museum once. Native protection markings. So, what? People knew about this thing. Rob asked. Jamie didn't answer. They climbed. The ridge offered no safety. Only a better view of how deep the woods stretched, how endless the forest really was. Trees swayed without wind. Fog rolled between trunks like something alive. They made camp beneath an overhang, a narrow ledge of rock that gave them partial cover. I haven't seen birds in a day, Aaron muttered. No bugs either, Jamie added. Everything's gone. They sat in silence. Rob cleaned the flare gun for the third time. You think Marcus and Tasha are dead? Taken? Swallowed whole? No one said it. That night, Jamie dreamed of roots. Writhing. Tangling. Pulling bodies down. The earth breathed beneath him. When he woke, Aaron was gone. Panic surged. Jamie shook Rob awake. She's gone. What? Rob sat up fast, grabbing the flare gun. They found drag marks leading toward a dark cleft in the ridge, a narrow cave mouth between two boulders. The stone smelled foul. Wet and metallic. Jamie hesitated. We go in together. You keep that flare ready. Rob nodded. They slipped into the dark. The cave was tight, twisting, unnatural. Not like it had formed naturally, more like something had dug it. They followed the smear of blood and hair deeper. Then found her bag. And her phone. It was still recording. The last video showed Erin's face, trembling in the dark. Behind her, a gray hand reached from the shadows. They pressed deeper. The cave opened into a dome-like hollow, ribs of stone lining the walls. Or were they actual ribs? The smell of decay was overwhelming. At the center of the chamber, wrapped in roots, was something, cocooned. It was Erin. Eyes open. Not blinking. Paralyzed but alive. Jamie rushed forward. No. Rob hissed. It's a trap. Too late. From the shadows, the cryptid emerged. Lanky. Limbs jointed wrong. No face, only skin stretched smooth over its skull, and a chest mouth full of teeth, grinning. Rob raised the flare gun and fired. The flare hit the creature's chest and exploded into light. The thing screamed, a wet, shrill sound that rattled the bones in the chamber. It twisted backward, smoke pouring from the burned flesh around its gaping chest mouth. Erin fell limp, released from the roots. Jamie grabbed her, hauling her over his shoulder. Rob kept the light trained on the monster, which shrieked and clawed blindly. They ran. The tunnels collapsed behind them, chunks of stone falling as the thing howled. As they burst into daylight, Rob collapsed, panting. It's not dead, Jamie said. Erin coughed weakly. But it's hurt. They had wounded it. But now, it would be hunting them. By the time the sun rose, Erin had regained most of her strength. They kept me alive, she whispered. Wrapped in something. I couldn't move, but I saw things. Others. Bones. Skin. People, maybe years ago. It eats us slowly. Jamie reinforced the idea. It doesn't feed like a predator. It hoards. Like it's guarding something. They agreed, get out of the forest. Follow the stream they'd found the night before. Streams led to rivers. Rivers led to roads. Civilization. Rob found more flare cartridges in the bottom of his bag. 2 shots left. If it comes at us again, he said, we go down swinging. They didn't realize it was already following them again. The stream led downhill into a gully. The farther they followed it, the darker it became. The canopy above thickened unnaturally. Even at noon, it felt like dusk. Erin walked slower now, her body still sore. Rob helped her over fallen logs and slick rocks. Jamie paused at a bend. We're being herded, he muttered. What? Erin asked. The terrain, it's too perfect. Too easy. It wants us to go this way. Erin opened her mouth to respond, but a shadow passed between trees behind them. A blur. Then another. Rob raised the flare gun. Then came the clicking. The creature appeared again. This time, it wasn't alone. Behind it, smaller versions moved in twitchy, jerking patterns. They looked younger, unfinished, like half-molted things. Pale. Glistening. Not yet fully formed. Jamie stared. It's a nest. It made more of itself, Erin whispered. The creatures fanned out around the stream, forming a half-circle. We have to go through it, Jamie said. There's no other choice. Erin clutched a broken branch. Rob loaded a flare. The larger cryptid stepped forward. Its chest mouth opened wide. Teeth clicked together in anticipation. And then they charged. The fight was chaos. Rob fired the flare, hitting the lead creature in the shoulder. It burst into light and shrieked as it stumbled backward. Jamie slammed a rock into the skull of one of the smaller ones. It collapsed in a twitching heap. Erin swung wildly, cracking bones and knocking another into the stream. It thrashed until its head split open on a rock. But there were too many. They kept coming, fast and relentless. Jamie screamed as one slashed his leg. Blood poured. He went down. Jamie. Aaron lunged, dragging him backward. Rob screamed, then cut off. One of the things had him. And Rob was gone. They ran. Jamie limped, Aaron dragging him down the streambed until they reached a crack in the hillside, a narrow tunnel barely big enough for one person. They squeezed in. The cryptids didn't follow. Not immediately. Inside, the tunnel dropped into darkness. Cold. Dry. Where are we? Aaron whispered. Jamie looked around. Somewhere it doesn't want us to go. They had stumbled into something older than the creature. A place that smelled of stone and ash. Carvings lined the walls. Symbols. Warnings. This wasn't just a monster's nest. It was a burial chamber. Symbols etched into the stone pulsed faintly as their flashlights passed. Human figures being dragged underground. Mouths split open. A great beast born of the earth, rising from caverns beneath. It wasn't just legend, Jamie said. The stories. The Iroquois weren't warning about a god, they were trying to bury it. They'd sealed the thing below. But something, time, erosion, or human meddling, had freed it. Jamie sat heavily. We brought our fire too close to the mouth. It smelled us. And it's not just a beast. It remembers. It learns, Aaron added. And it reproduces. They came to a large chamber. At the center, a stone altar, stained dark with old blood. Ritual objects lay shattered around it. Remnants of warding circles, burned rope, and broken bone charms. Jamie stared in horror. This is where they bound it. Or tried to. Behind them, something moved. The cryptid was in the tunnel. It squeezed through the stone, bones cracking, limbs twisting to fit. Its chest mouth gnashed the air. We can't fight in here, Aaron said. Too close. Jamie looked at the altar. We don't need to fight it. We just need to lock it in again. Jamie told her the plan. You run. You get out. You find help. What about you? I finish what they started. She refused. We finish it together. They laid the flare, the last one, on the altar. Jamie carved the remaining symbols around it using broken stone, copying the old runes. The cryptid entered the chamber, towering over them. Jamie shouted, drawing its attention. It lunged, straight onto the altar. He fired the flare directly into its chest. The symbols glowed. The air screamed. The stone shuddered. A blinding light burst from the altar, swallowing the cryptid in golden fire. It thrashed, howled, and then, imploded. The mouth, the limbs, the shrieking all collapsed into itself. And the tunnel caved in. Aaron and Jamie ran, leaping over rubble, ducking falling stone. Behind them, the ancient seal rebuilt itself, powered by blood, flame, and the creature's own memory. When the light faded, the cryptid was gone. Sealed again. Silence returned to the woods. They emerged days later. Starving. Cold. Alive. Rangers found them by the roadside. Muddy, dehydrated, and delirious. The story they told didn't make the report. Jamie lost too much blood. He survived, but barely. Aaron never told anyone the truth. But sometimes, when she hikes alone, she feels the earth rumble. The trees lean. The wind goes still. And somewhere, deep below, it dreams. Jamie spent 2 weeks in the hospital. His leg would never fully recover, but he didn't care. He was alive. He and Aaron didn't talk much after being rescued. Not because they were angry, because there were no words for what they'd seen. Reporters called them lucky hikers who got lost. The officials chalked the wounds up to a bear. But Jamie knew better. Sometimes, when he closed his eyes, he could still hear the clicking. A month later, a man came to Jamie's door. He wore a plain gray jacket and introduced himself only as Walker. "I study things people aren't supposed to find," he said. Jamie didn't want to talk. But Walker knew everything. "You were at Echo Lake. You saw it. You heard it. That's rare." Jamie's throat went dry. "So it's not just here?" Walker nodded solemnly. "They're deep. Ancient. Your kind calls them cryptids. My kind calls them returners. They wake when something precious is disturbed." "What did we disturb?" Walker didn't answer. He just left a phone number and walked away. Aaron moved to Arago. Dirt under his nails. He started sleepwalking. Talking in ancient tongues. Muttering about roots and teeth and returning. Aaron flew in to check on him. They both agreed, whatever had been sealed, wasn't sealed anymore. They had to see for themselves. Armed with satellite phones, weapons, gear, and warnings left by Walker, Jamie and Aaron hiked back to Echo Lake. It looked untouched. But the trees were wrong. Taller. Closer. And the water wasn't still anymore. It churned. As if something below was breathing. Near the fire pit, a new tree had grown. Twisted. Black-barked. With deep scars like symbols. Jamie touched it and recoiled. "It's watching us," he said. "Through this." Aaron saw it too, a faint silhouette in the reflection of the lake. Not a creature. A shape. Taller. Human, almost. "I think it's learning how to be like us." That night, their satellite phone rang. It was Walker. "You shouldn't have gone back," he said. "These things, they feed on memory. The more you think about them, the more they solidify. They're like dreams," Aaron whispered. "Worse," Walker replied. "Dreams end. This doesn't. Then static. Then clicking." Jamie's dreams changed. He started remembering things that hadn't happened. People he hadn't met. Places that didn't exist. But in every memory, the creature was there. "I think it's rewriting me," he whispered. Aaron watched him warily. What if that's how it spreads? Not through bites or scratches, but through stories. Jamie nodded. It came from below. And now it's inside. Jamie found a leather-bound book half buried near the lake. Inside, sketches of the creature. Ancient rituals. Dozens of names scratched out. Some in ink. Some in blood. On the final page. "You cannot kill it. You can only feed it lies." They built a new altar. Aaron recited false memories aloud, fabricated stories of the cryptid's weakness. Jamie chanted names that never belonged to anyone. The tree began to burn. Smoke turned black, then red. The lake screamed. The creature surfaced again, but this time, it looked like Jamie. And then like Aaron. It was trying to mimic them, to become real. Its body warped, twisting into familiar shapes. Half-formed mouths. Eyes that weren't eyes. Aaron hurled a bottle of oil at it and lit it with a flare. Flames danced across its body, but it didn't die. It laughed. 1,000 voices. All theirs. The altar cracked. Roots rose up, tangling Aaron's legs. Jamie screamed and ran for her. But the earth split. A new mouth opened. Not in the creature. In the lake. A yawning, toothed abyss. It began to swallow everything. Jamie knew what to do. He whispered the words from the journal. Then he stepped into the lake. Aaron screamed, reaching for him, but he was already gone. The creature screamed in fury. Then vanished. The lake went still. The mouth closed. Aaron awoke in a hospital. No one remembered Jamie. No search records. No file. Only her. And the lake was gone. Where it had been was now a field of ash. No trail. No trees. Just a single tooth, half buried in the soil. Walker never answered her calls. But one day, a voicemail appeared. Just clicking. Soft. Rhythmic. Then Jamie's voice. It came from below. In a nearby town, children start drawing monsters with long limbs and chest mouths. One child won't stop whispering. He's still dreaming. A lake in Michigan dries overnight. Campers vanish in Oregon. A mine collapses in Arizona, no seismic activity reported. Something moves beneath all of them. Not just one creature. A network. A colony. A hive. Aaron records one final message. If you find this, burn it. Don't tell anyone. Don't share it. Don't name it. She hesitates. And if you dream of it, don't wake up. Then static. Then silence. The earth forgets nothing. It absorbs pain. Remembers blood. And sometimes, it opens. Not for trees. Not for roots. But for teeth. Years later, teenagers tell a ghost story at a fire. About a girl named Aaron. About a boy named Jamie. About something that lived under Echo Lake. They laugh. But the trees behind them don't. And the fire flickers blue. One boy goes to relieve himself in the woods. He doesn't come back. They find only his flashlight. And a drawing scratched in the dirt. A circle with jagged teeth. The town wakes to birds dead in the streets. Dogs howl at nothing. And in the reflection of puddles, people see faces that aren't theirs. Mouths open. Eyes blank. The sky turns red by noon. It doesn't stalk the woods anymore. Now it moves in stories. In words. Spoken. Written. Dreamed. And it remembers you. One last tape is found in an abandoned ranger station. It ends with a whisper. If you're hearing this, it's already under your skin. Do not tell the story. Do not speak its name. No one remembers Echo Lake. But something remembers you. And when the night is still, and the wind is gone, and the fire burns low, you may hear it. That soft, wet clicking. It's not the trees. It's not the dark. It's just, waiting. And it always comes from below.